Let me tell y'all a little something about me, okay? I don't deal well with tech drama. I just can't take it. So I moved the live schedule for the Facebook over to Instagram. Hopefully people will catch on and people will see, because that was some drama. That was a lot. I don't like feeling that way. I like to be able to see people. See here. I can see the hearts. I can see. That's what I need. I need to make sure I'm not talking to myself, because I could do that, offline. So whatever. So we're moving the party to IG. We might keep this party at IG. I mean, BJ might try to convince me to go back to Facebook, but it might be a long drive. But we back, and we are here to talk about what your grad school didn't teach you, because it don't even matter what grad school you went to. Notice that I didn't clarify that, and I didn't say if you went to this particular type of grad school. What your grad school didn't teach you is what we're going to cover today. And this is like a snippet of what we're going to be doing with the Black or the Brain lecture, Free to Heal, because we're going to be talking about decolonizing practices. And there's no way to talk about decolonizing practices without talking about how we learn these practices in a systematic, conforming, institutionalized way, right? And so the culmination of that conforming conditioning process is grad school for many people. But again, it doesn't have to be grad school. This applies, this applies to elementary school, this applies to high school, this applies to any other form of conditioning or conforming that we have all engaged in on some level. So why we chose this topic is because we were sitting here as a team thinking about how do we get people to understand what we mean by decolonizing mental health, why Free to Heal, our upcoming lecture, is so important, even if you don't find yourself in the mental health field, but you find yourself interacting with Black bodies. You find yourself providing services. You find yourself just having friends who identify as Black or family members. It's a whole lot of things. And what we're realizing, and we're going to do another lecture in 2021 about this, is that people just don't know how to handle Black bodies. They don't even know how to say the word Black. We've talked about that here before, right? So if I can't even say the word Black, how can I hold the Black people I'm in community with? We've had that conversation. And the truth is you can't. And so when we talk about decolonizing practices, and then we're targeting, where did we learn that that Black bodies did not need these things? Where did we learn that it was all about the system and this one way of being, and that, everyone should conform to that? And one of the biggest places for that is, unfortunately, our education system. Our dear friend and ally, Akilah S. Richards, our warrior in combat, has a book, Raising Free People, has a podcast, Fair the Free Child. Many of you all here who follow her work as well, because you see that they're integrated. We have many people in the cohort who are in education. They're professors, they're teachers. It's integrated. There's no way to separate our education from our mental health, right? Our first real understanding of our mental health, or just socializing, came through our education system. And so, we say grad program for this, but it could be any form. It started in kindergarten when you were told that all students have to sit still and put their hands in their lap and walk forward. Donisha's on here. I might tag you in here, Donisha, because she be breaking it down around that too. And so what our grad schools do is basically culminate and reinforce years and years and years of conditioning. What I have experienced them doing, and what I have had clients that I have, we talk about unlearning the trauma that we experience. We talk about grad school trauma. We talk about it as a real thing, because it was this place that people were excited to go, and they felt like after years of being told what to do and how to do it, they were going to be able to go to this place and be free thinkers. And that's not what happened. They were told that this is how you have to write it, and this is how you have to live it, and this is what it looks like. And it's disappointing and disheartening for people. And there is such a thing as grad school trauma. And it's not just because things are hard. It's because, there's this systematic way of clipping the wings of people who got that far, hoping that this would be a free thinking space, a think space, a creative space, and so on and so forth. And it turned out to be another obstacle course. And so, when we talk about what our grad schools didn't teach us, they did not teach us how to heal. They did not teach us how to be free thinkers. They did not teach us how to be human. They did not teach us how to save this planet. how to interact with it. They didn't teach us how to forgive. They didn't teach us how to make space for ourselves and for others. And so what we leave with in a lot of ways is a deeper desire for connection, a deeper desire to learn how to empathize, how to build and establish and create intimacy, and how to create. We sometimes leave with less trust in ourselves, less trust in our wildest self, right? Our guttural self. And this is a huge problem, especially if you have a society that's convincing every single person in it that all their children should go to college and must go to college. After 12 years of conventional education, now we're telling them, and you have to go, and you have to pay for it, and you're going to do exactly what we say, and you're going to learn what we learned. So a big part of what we try to do, what we're working on doing in the Black Earth Brain, is disrupting that, right? Is infiltrating grad programs and creating these spaces for wildness and for trusting your gut and for seeing how high you can fly, but also what you can intuit and what you can create when you are in a decolonized space that loves you, that cares about you, that believes in you. These are all things that are instinctual when we're not preventing them. And these are things that we can institute into grad programs if we choose to decolonize them. So some of the things specifically that we'll be targeting in the upcoming lecture will be about personhood. When the Black Earth Brain becomes its own college program and people can get degrees in decolonized mental health, which will happen. The whole first year, we're not going to learn a single theory. I mean, I don't know if we ever will. We might. But we're actually going to learn how to create one. We're actually going to learn that everyone in that room has a theory, has a story, has a background that we that is valuable and that is unique and that somebody can benefit from, right? So imagine a grad program. We're going to just live our best lives right now. Imagine a grad program where the whole first year is about you. It's about exploring who you are. It's about acknowledging the trauma that you've experienced in your education so far, about acknowledging the trauma you've experienced as a member of a society that doesn't always value you. And then just tapping in very deeply using spirituality, using embodiment, and using actual healing practices to help you to trust and release the most essential and vital part of yourself. This is my belief. If we did that the first year, the second year would be like, I get teary-eyed, just think about it. What more is there to do the second year? The second year would just be about exploring, creating, collaborating, trusting, taking risk, inventing, innovating. And then we can definitely add, of course, a lot of historical context. We want to ground ourselves in what's real and what's happened. We want to learn from past things, but we don't want to approach the research as though it is the end-all, say-all of our lives. We don't want to approach these theorists as though they know more about our communities than we do, right? And so why not? Like, why can't this be possible? Along that way, you learn empathy. You learn how to hold each other's story. You learn reflective listening. You learn active listening, right? So, like, aren't these all the things that you're supposed to be learning through these programs anyway? You learn critical thinking, right? You learn how to run some shit, like, for yourself. Isn't that what these programs are supposed to be teaching you? How many of you left your grad program feeling like less secure about who you are? I mean, that's how I felt. I left feeling like, oh, I thought I had good ideas, or, oh, I thought maybe I could. And then it was like, no, just do these things so you can pass this exam, so you can get this license, so you can, right? And even taking the licensing exam, for me, I'm an MFT, so taking that exam, at a certain point, I realized, oh, if I want to pass this test, I'm going to have to think like a really wealthy, privileged white person who doesn't want to risk losing anything, right? I have to cover my ass. Like, that's how I have to think. And there are questions on there related to things we see every day about, calling DCFS or calling the police and cultural context that is not accurate, but no one's asking us about what's accurate for these exams. We're just taught to do what we have to do and pass them. And what our grad schools aren't teaching us is humanity and connection. They're teaching us how to be workers, but they're not teaching us how to be light workers. They're not teaching us how to create a new world. They're not teaching us how to, like I said, heal from even the unintentional wounds that we've suffered. And so this is why I think we wanted to create a lecture specifically around practice. For one, I really believe that, like, let's say at the lecture, we're going to drop a lot of like really key, easy things that you can implement right away, right? So let's say that happens, and our thinking is, once you do that thing, one of those things once, and you experience the joy that comes from something that's effective and creative and not stressful and not problem-centered, you're going to want to do it again, right? And so it doesn't matter if you work in retail or work in customer service or work in with police departments. It doesn't matter what work you do. These practices are designed to just shift your interaction with people. And we're betting at the Black or the Brain that if we can do that, and if you try it, if you're willing to try it, you have to trust yourself. So there's this like beautiful moment of like supporting that third chakra, supporting that sense of self and being confident, a little bit of risk taking, a little bit of fear facing, but that's good. That feels really great, right? And so once you face that fear once, and you get the payoff of, wow, I centered joy, I did what felt right, I trusted my gut, you're only going to trust your gut more from that point on. All these lectures, what you should understand about us is that we're very, intentional is not even the word. Like, our goal is for everything we do in those lectures to not just be one thing, not just be a lecture, not just be information, but to be a portal almost, something that transports you into a healing space just by attending, that then you leave the space healed. We don't just want you coming to get the information to help the people that you're working with. That's amazing. We want that. But also we want you to heal while hearing the lecture. Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense. So let's talk a little bit. Maybe you could share in the comments a little bit about our grad school trauma. Like, what were some of the things that we wish that we would love to unlearn from our grad school programs? I would love to answer some of those questions, or maybe even let's undo some of that trauma now together in real time. There's enough of us on here. Even if 2 or 3 of us were on here, we could make it happen. But what are some of the things you feel like you learned in grad school that have limited you from that point on, that if you heal it in yourself, you can also then look at healing it in other people? So Dr. Chris Jones said that there is a standard at all, right? That there is a norm. What is norm? I literally can't stand that word. What is norm? That idea of a standard and a norm means there automatically has to be a deviant. And this is counterproductive for us who are trying to heal separateness, which is clearly causing so much scarring and pain, right? And so the idea that there's a standard, that there's a one way to do it, is definitely harmful. And norm is violent. Advice for future grad school students: we are actually at the Black or the Brain working on creating a mentorship cohort. So we're hoping to do more than give advice. We're hoping to give actual support. So that should be coming in 2021. So I wouldn't say limited, but that there isn't a right way to do things. Am I understanding that question right? I wouldn't say limited. So are you saying that grad school taught you that there isn't a right way to do things, or that it taught you that they did? I might need you to rewrite that one. I don't understand the question. yeah, so they also, I think, and for me, another thing that it taught was that who has authority, right? The theorists that you learn, they have authority. The theorists that you learn are right. Um, and you must do it the way they did because they are somehow superhuman in a way that you're not. And they can invent this thing that instead of you taking it, filtering it through your own experiences, remixing it, adding your own flavor to it, and really just evolving it, right? Instead of you doing that, they want you to learn it exactly as it was, right? Okay, so good. So someone said that they learned that in their grad program, they don't have to do things a certain way, that there is no right or wrong way, right? And so I'd love to hear more about that. Like, what kind of program was it? And did you like it? Did you have a healthy relationship with your grad program? That would be amazing. And those are good too. We want to hear the healthy ones because we want to identify those so that when people are asking us for referrals to grad programs, we don't send them to trash ones. To strive for everything as opposed to resting in my innate talent and trusting my unique purpose and process. Undoing, that takes a lot. Oh, that's such a good one. Oh, so, generational trauma within academia. Oh, if they did it, then we can overcome it. Wait, that piece, that is professor trauma, right? Like, your professors went through the same toxic program. So there's sometimes it's a struggle with empathizing and changing that program because they had to go through it. It's like a rite of passage, but that doesn't mean it's a healthy rite of passage, right? That part about also trusting your innate ability, right? If everybody really, really knew how diversity works, right? That I always say there's no two roses that are alike, that you are that different, that you really shouldn't even be looking to the person next to you for what to be, but more so to like reflect back to you who you came here to be. I do think that gets stripped away when we are all forced to conform to a certain way. And it's unfortunate because we need that diversity. We need that. We need that. We need it. We need these I would love to see a theory from each one of y'all. Like, I would be fascinated to read what theories you came up with. That wisdom resides in the provider. That's such a beautiful thing, right? See, we don't all learn that. We don't all learn that we come with our own wisdom. Ebony Janice said, I had to pay to be harmed. This, don't even get me started on the paying. Wait, had to learn humbly and teach too for free. Don't even get me started on having people of color teach in the space what is not built into the curriculum. To pay to be harmed while non-Black femme cohort got to learn from you. Well, we see that in the workplace too, right? Like, what do you think? Which is great to ask what you think, but not only because I'm Black, right? And that's something you have to ask as an afterthought, because when you initiated this thing, you did not think about us at all, right? So that's a problem. Oh, I got it. Okay. So in your MBA program, they had like a rigid way of doing things. Do you find that now that you're a counselor, that your actual program, and I'm talking to Raquel, that your actual program encouraged you to trust your gut? And if so, versus the theories, right? Like, or like when you did role plays, were they modeling it off of certain theories? Or did you find that you were able to be innovative and even improv, or like go with your instincts? Now, I found like I did have that experience with one supervisor once I left school. And I also did, there were professors let me go back. I didn't do a traditional university. I did University of Phoenix. And one thing I loved about it was that a lot of the people were in the field. So I learned like practical things, like really practical hands-on. I felt very ready when I left. And I don't think any of those people really acknowledged systemic racism and how it set up the space itself, and how even the way we were learning was conditioned towards a certain group, which honestly, it doesn't even serve that group at this point. So I would love to I see what you're saying. So now, but so Raquel, what I hear you saying is that that's something you have to teach yourself. Which is why, like, with the Black Earth, the brain, that's something, like, I think that we all have in common. We all had to kind of figure some of this stuff out. And now we're thinking, like, how can we help people before they have to figure that out? How do we get to these grad programs? How do we get to these, students before they join a grad program, before they choose one, and help them to choose programs that will that will work with them and see them as unique and see them as amazing and see them as rare? How do we guide towards that, or how do we actively empower them to challenge the spaces that they're in while they're in the grad programs, while still feeling supported and loved and empowered and full? And so that's kind of the challenge that we're taking on with the Black or the Brain. But I think it also goes back to the lecture coming up, the Free to Heal, is that we've made it seem so hard to integrate empathy and connection, integrate a knowledge of systemic oppression and racism into our work. We make it seem like this extra step that we don't have to do, but yet we have to learn all these people who have nothing to do with us, weren't born where we were born, don't have the experiences that we have, and that we prioritize their experiences over our own, right? So really thinking about how important it is to see the blend between mental health and education, see how these things correlate. And working on a college campus for now, I think it's my 7th year working on a campus. The mental health, the stress is deep. The mental health is stress. Even if you think about, like, this whole idea that college has to be stressful, like, why? Because life is hard. Why? Because you're going to go into a corporation and a company and you're going to have to work. Why? Like, why? We act as though we can't create a society that doesn't make things so hard, that doesn't make access to love, that doesn't make relationships hard, that doesn't make eating hard or having a home. Or why do we act like we can't have a society like that? The whole thought process behind college being hard is that life is hard and this is hard, but you made it hard. So can't we make it not hard or less hard? What is the hard part? What is that about? What do you want me to do with this? Like, what are you preparing me to do? Why can't we just make it a much more easeful, joyful, joy-centered, inclusive, supportive society? Why? Right? Like, and so it's so interesting when we go back in our thinking and we're like, well, we set this up to be hard on purpose, to prepare them for, and really what it is to prepare them for, it's just, I don't even know how to say this, y'all, but to beat people down so that by the time they get to working for these corporations, they're not questioning anymore. They're so scared of losing their job and therefore their home and therefore that they just, and it's horrible because it's the opposite, right? It's like the reason I do what I do is because everybody has a right to know their life doesn't have to be hard. When I see people doing things the hard way, I really feel like I want to talk to you about why. Because this is a grand experience. Every day there's new things around us. Every day there's new people to meet and new connections and the brain is so beautiful. The body is so beautiful. This earth is so beautiful. Why wouldn't we structure a life in a way that we can explore it and experience it? Like, why not? Why would we come here for the hard? Now we're undoing the hard. We're learning how to undo the hard. But we've been taught that the hard is more valuable than our joy. We've been taught that the hard is the only way to live here, to survive here, right? And then when you want to feel soft, when you want to feel accessible, when you want to feel the joy of love, the joy of receiving, the joy of trusting, you're programmed to feel like you're putting yourself at risk. And it's only because we've created a society that is harmful. And if we have the power to create a harmful society, guess what else we got the power to create? A society that doesn't cause harm. Right? And so, I didn't even know we was going to go there today. But the reality is that you will always see me here on these lives, in these streets, telling people they have a right to enjoy this fucking life. My friends can tell you about the moment that I was like, I want to be free this lifetime. I don't want to wait and come back as another life or another. I want it to happen this time. I demand it happen this time. And I think when I set that intention, I didn't realize that I wanted it for you just as much as I wanted it for me. Like, who the fuck wants to be that free by themselves? That's not fun. Like, I want to be around a ton of free people. Like, I want to be around and see what's there, what's going on inside people now. I want to experience them this lifetime in their fullest self. And it drives so deeply everything we do at Marley.io, everything we do with the Black Earth the Brain, everything we do at Shaping the Shift, because it's really not as hard as they make it seem. The hardest part about building your life around joy is believing that that is possible. And when you've been taught to believe that it's not possible. And so everything we do and every lecture we have, I don't ever want you to look at the lecture title and be like, oh, that's not for me. It'll be for you. Trust me. It'll always be for you. It's always going to be for you. Because no matter what the lecture topic looks like, you know that the overall goal is come get this joy. You're entitled to it. And I want to see you when you're your fullest, most amazing, beautiful, free self, right? So right now, this topic is about grad programs and education in general, and that intersection between education and mental health, and just kind of touching bases with you to let you know what's going to be a part of the lecture we're doing on December 3rd. That lecture is at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, but it always comes with a replay. So we don't expect everybody to be sitting in front of your computer December 3rd at 4 p.m. But when you do purchase a ticket, what that means is you have a 7-day replay. So for 7 days, you can watch the lecture as many times as you want, and you can use the lecture from there. But all of our lectures, and we have lectures set up all through 2021, will always be about two things: your joy and your liberation. And that's a guarantee. If you know of grad programs that you want us to reach out to that are interested, that maybe they need counselors or they need people in those spaces that are having these conversations, that are reimagining these spaces, please feel free to email us. You can email us at connect@theamonyee.com. You can DM us at the Black Earth the Brain, and we will reach out. Because this ain't like, we're going to be doing this for a while. We're going to be doing this for a while. One, we love doing it, and we love the people we're doing it with. A couple of the cohort members are already on here, and we look forward to meeting every month. Y'all are going to see actual, tangible, amazing things come out of so let me tell you what the cohort is. The cohort is the grad program I just described to you. My dream of a grad program is the cohort. I just went ahead and did it because I didn't want to wait around for a university. But that is the cohort. It is the space where we heal ourselves, where we start to relearn how to be our freest, most available, most present, most joy-centered, liberated self. And then we create from that. And this cohort creates amazing stuff, have great ideas. I I get so excited. I'm like always, lately I've been like, I can't purchase all this stuff because how am I going to get it to all these cohort members? 'Cause I want to give them these books and I want to give them whatever they want to make it happen. I want to order and make it happen. So I guess the cohort is kind of like a mini decolonized grad program. It's a lot of fun in that way. But did anybody have any questions about the lecture, about the Black of the Brain, about this conversation in general? Go ahead and feel free to ask some questions. And thank you for joining me here since Facebook was being trash. I still don't know what was going on over there, but thank you for being here. Any questions that I can answer while you're on? Donisha, are you still here? Did you want to come join us live? You know, I'll make you. I will tag you in. If I have a cohort member that wants to jump on, I like doing lives with them. You can jump in and just send me a request. Let's see if there are any questions that I missed. I know, I'm glad I hopped on IG too. I'm trying not to exclude other social media spaces, but this is my favorite. The cohort is easy. It's through Patreon. So you join the Patreon link. It's $45 a month, and it includes all the lectures. It includes the heart sessions. So the lectures are only archived with the cohort because they're going to be doing the work. If you go to the link in my bio, it'll take you there. And then when you drop in, we actually have a heart session coming up next Sunday. But there's material that you can catch up on in the meantime, and I'll send you a little message about that once you join in. Dot said the hair ain't right. Okay, I understand, but next time. Maddie, how can undergrad folks? Oh, for sure. I think if you're an undergrad, it's never too late to start. I do think looking at Akila's work about unschooling is really helpful to shape your educational experience the way you want it to. So if you are doing grad programs and you are in education, it's not a bad thing. You just have to go into it empowered to shift it, right? You are there to change that space. And that space is there to offer you things as well. But if it's not, don't feel like you can't shape it to what you need. You're paying for that education. It should work for you. You're paying for that education. It should center you. You're paying for that education. It should value you and what you bring to the table. So even as an undergrad, I think definitely walking into spaces knowing the more you are your full self, one, the more you liberate other people in that space to do the same, but also the more you help change the space. And that is a space. Education, these institutions should be evolving. And they don't, because they don't welcome new ideas and new things. So sometimes you just got to take up the space. But also, if you follow the Black of the Brain on IG, if you want to come to the lectures, we're doing, like I said, like a mentor thing for grad programs. But you can definitely always tune into the lectures. We try to keep the lectures affordable so that people can have it as an access point. Sometimes we offer scholarships. So if you have some people will purchase scholarships for others, which is awesome. So sometimes we end up having extra passes. So you can always hit us up closer to the time and we'll know. And we can help you to stay attuned with what we're doing there. That way. I hope that's helpful. Yeah, stay ready, Danisha, because when you jump on here, I could pull you. I agree. The entire education system from kindergarten. That's why I can't stress enough how much I adore the work of Fair the Free Child and a lot of unschoolers that they have on the podcast, but it's so amazing. I'm so glad you enjoyed the first lecture. Yay, you like this one. We have some great topics coming up. Like, I want to tell y'all the titles because I get super excited. But one is Safe to Heal will be another one, because that's going to be client centered. How do clients know how to come in and advocate for what they want in a session? What they want from their practitioners, their physicians. So we're going to do one that's targeting people who are coming in using the services. We're also doing stuff on pleasure and decolonizing pleasure in the realm of mental health in this work. We're going to do one just on how to love Black people. Like, we just got to keep it simple. How to love Black people. It's important. See who, because a lot of people who are licensed, like unlicensed and unafraid. Do we want to, some people don't want to get licensed because they feel that conforming, and let's talk about that. See who's when you are creating new curriculum, do you have to make it conform to CEU standards? I mean, I don't, but I mean, let's talk about it, right? So these are a lot of the conversations that we're going to have in 2021. So excited. It's going to be amazing. I know those are spoilers. I can't help it. I'm not good at surprises. I get too excited and then I tell people before they get the surprise. It's really stupid. That I get too excited. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining through the technical issues. I'm not going to keep you too much longer because I started this super late because of Facebook. But I hope you enjoyed. I love having these conversations with you. We'll be having weekly IG lives leading up to the actual lecture December 3rd. Remember that, again, the replay is available for a week afterwards. If you, it's also really great for professional development. We're thinking about putting together a professional development package so that, let's say you work for a company or you work for an organization and you want them to send you to like 7 of the lectures, then maybe we can do like a bundle. So we're looking at any way we can to make this more accessible. Those are some of the ideas that come to mind, but we got more. And I look forward to seeing you at the lectures, seeing your IG live, seeing your beautiful faces and everything that you do. The work that you all do is so important. And I know, like, some of us, we come on here and, we have a microphone or a platform or whatever. It's so weird with social media, but we have a space. But I see how you all are using all your spaces, and it doesn't matter if we have like 5 followers or 50,000 or 5 million. I love to see that what you're creating with your space, no matter what it is. If we're a good steward over it, things will grow. So when you're, having lectures or dance resources, never be afraid to DM me that, because I'd love to share those in our stories, or DM the Blacker the Brain, because we're sharing a lot in our stories there too. And we're amplifying. We recognize none of us can be everywhere, and so we don't have to be, because we have each other. And so if you ever have an event or a lecture or anything that you're doing that you want to amplify, please just feel free to send us a DM about it so that we can spread and support this community. I see Maliha, I'm so excited to see you. Black Temple, you always see them. They stay in my stories because of the work that they do. If you're not following them, make sure you do, because they're all about this healing work and they're all about decolonizing and liberation. And so it's a really, really beautiful resource. And I have the pleasure of having a Gypset Lovers coming on an upcoming episode of something. See, there I go. Spoiler alert again. I can't do it. But yeah, share it with us. We love to amplify. There's no such thing as a small voice, right? Especially when we're all connected anyway. And every single time you all show up as unapologetically yourselves, I just think about the number of people that see that witness that are also changed for the better. And I just appreciate you so much. I love everything that you all are doing. So any way I can help, or we can help through Black of the Brain, through Marley IO, let us know. We'll be happy to do that. And I hope to see you guys on December 3rd. I'll see you before then, because there's always something going on. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you all. Thank you so much.